Well, hello and how are you? Hey, this is Shenandoah Briscoe coming to you live right here in St. Charles, Missouri. First state capital of Missouri, that is, I'll just remind you, from 1821 to 1826. Then they moved her on up to Jefferson City, Missouri. Yep, this here is going to be blog number 184. That's right, 184. Well, that being said, I was just going to tell you a little bit about my Hampton Inn experience. Yes, sir, I stayed at a Hampton Inn not too long ago, and I tell you what, that is the place to stay if you're traveling. If you're on the road and you got a little sleepy eye and you want to stay in a nice, comfortable bed, you just work your way to a Hampton Inn. Yes, sir, Hampton Inn will welcome you with wide open arms, and if you're ready to relax and catch you some Z's, slip on into one of their beds with ease. Yes, sir, it's a comfortable bed. Me, with my being a spinal cord injury person, I happen to have very delicate skin, and I have to worry about pressure sores and the like. Well, not at that Hampton Inn. I tell you what, I had the opportunity to stay at a Hampton Inn in Columbia, South Carolina, the Northeast Hampton Inn, as a matter of fact. And, well, I was surprised when I got to that room and found out that it was handicapped accessible. Well, the first room I stayed in wasn't handicapped accessible, but the staff so graciously, one of the housekeeping staff so graciously pointed out that they had a handicapped accessible room right up the hall from where I was at. Well, we moved on up that way, and I tell you what, when they talk handicapped accessible, they're talking handicapped accessible. I rolled into that shower, and, well, that shower room the whole room was tiled, bathroom from top to bottom, which means, if you're gonna splash, you can splash everywhere. It'll end up in the drain sooner or later. That's right. Well, anyway, they got a shower head that slides up and down the pole. It pivots this way and that, and you can take it off and hit all the spots that are hard to reach. So, that being said, you can also go out and take a swim in the pool, because they've got a handicapped accessible chairlift that'll swivel you right on down into that nice cool water. That's right. So if you're on the road and you're getting ready for bed, slip on in to the Hampton Inn. That's what I said. Alrighty, that being said, I was gonna talk about a little bit about my other experiences that I've had during my little trip to Columbia. I went that way for my son's graduation, as a matter of fact. So I headed that way for my son's graduation from basic combat training out there in Fort Jackson. That's right. And, well, we was out there, and we got some boiled peanuts. Yes, sir. I ain't never had no boiled peanuts before, and, well, the friend we brought driving, he was loved them boiled peanuts. Well, he was just throwing them all in his mouth and cracking them open and spitting out holes. And, of course, my mom wouldn't do that. She cracked them open first, and she'd found herself a worm in one. So we was wondering what Buck would do if he'd found himself a worm in one of them he'd been cramming in his mouth. I guess he wouldn't felt too bad about it. He'd just probably swallow her down for some extra protein, I guess. Anyway, not for me. I did go ahead. That's the way I was eating mine too. I threw them all in my mouth and then spit out holes on the way by. That's how you do your sunflower seeds. You may as well do peanuts that way too. Especially boiled peanuts, because, well, they're a little slippery. That's right, a little slippery, but they're good. So if you found yourself down south somewhere or in back east, you might find yourself chowing down on some boiled peanuts. Mighty good eating, I tell you what. Also, while I was out that way, I stopped into a restaurant called the Lizard's Crossing. That's right. Is that right? Lizard's Crossing. That's right. Anyway, the Lizard's Crossing was a good down-home restaurant where you could get yourself a good down-home meal. Yes, sir. We had, I think I had the fried catfish. That's what I had. Fried catfish and all the trimmings that go with it. Yep, the Lizard's Crossing. No, that ain't it. It's a lizard something or other. I'm not sure what it was, but anyway, it's not too far from the Hampton Inn. It's right across the highway from it, and it's really close. It's not the Lizard's Crossing, but it's something like that. Thicket. There you go, the Lizard's Thicket. And the reason it was called the Lizard's Thicket, and the reason I confused it with a crossing, is because there's a little place way down south where these folks had come from that brought that restaurant up that way, where the roads crossed, and they had that's where all the fairgrounds would come to. And if there was a fair or some sort of a big shindig or a get-together, why, that's where it'd be, at the Lizard's Thicket. And, well, when they brought it up there, they wanted to call it Mary's Kitchen, or Annie's Kitchen, but Annie's Kitchen was already taken, so they took off the name of Lizard's Thicket. So, if you find yourself out there in South Carolina, and you find yourself a restaurant that you want to indulge in, stop on in to the Lizard's Thicket. They got a mighty good meal for you. This is not just commercial program today, although I live right down here near Petromart, and I tell you what, every time I go on down there to the Petromart for whatever it is that I need, I always get the best service. I get people letting me in the door. I get them walking around, stepping and fetching for me on account, well, it's hard for me to grab things in my wheelchair due to the condition of my hands. So, I just ask them politely, and they're more than happy to oblige. That's right, happy to oblige me in my situation. So anyway, they'll help me grab out my wallet, and they take my money out right in front of me, and they go ahead and ring up my stuff and bring it back to me and count out my change. And boy, I tell you, I ain't never felt no better hospitality other than the Hampton Inn at a establishment such as that. Find myself rolling up and down the Katy Trail these days, and well, I was rolling down the Katy Trail the other day, and I saw somebody on a bicycle, and well, I asked him, I said, y'all out here riding this trail for to lose some weight? And they said, well, yeah, we are, I guess. And I said, well, I've been rolling up and down this trail and for about the last 20 years, and I haven't lost a pound. And they said, well, maybe you've been doing it wrong. And I said, yeah. I said, maybe, because I've been rolling up and down it in a wheelchair, so, you know. I said, matter of fact, I've been gaining weight, and I thought, well, then again, maybe that's because I never shut my mouth, and well, the wind just keeps filling my belly bigger and bigger and bigger. Maybe that's what it is, and maybe not. But I sure hope that's all it is, bunch of wind down in there. Wish you'd go away, though, because it's just, I got a pouch, and it looks like I'm about ready to birth me a baby. And I don't want to birth no babies. Well, if I did, I'd probably make a lot of money. We'd be CNN and Fox News and everybody else that thought they'd make a little dollar with the newscast of the first straight male having a baby. That's for sure. But I sure wouldn't want to pass it. Had me a kidney stone once, and that was bad enough. I ain't well pass no baby through there, no way. Guess it'd be a C-section. There we go. Alrighty, that's just a little corny. Anyway, let's see. Maybe I will sing a song. I don't know what to sing though, so bear with. Let me find a song to sing, and we'll get right back to you. Give me just a second to look something up, alrighty? Well, alrighty. Alrighty then. Alrighty, I got a couple of them. Here we go, alrighty. Hopefully I can knock them both off before my time is up. In a bar in Toledo, across from the depot, on a bar stool she took off her ring. I thought as I got closer, go to sleep. Sorry about that. We'll start all over. In a bar in Toledo, across from the depot, on a bar stool she took off her ring. I thought I'd get closer, so I walked on over. I sat down and asked her name. When the drinks finally hit her, she said I'm no quitter, but I finally quit living on dreams. I'm hungry for laughter and here ever after, and I'm after whatever the other life brings. In a mirror I saw him, and I closely watched him. I thought how he looked out of place. He came to the woman who sat there beside me. He had a strange look on his face. The big hands were calloused. He looked like a mountain. For a minute I thought I was dead. But he started shaking. His big heart was breaking. He turned her and said, "You picked a fine time to leave me, Lucille, with 4 hungry children and a crop in the field. I've had some bad times, lived through some sad times, but this time the hurtin' won't heal. You picked a fine time to leave me, Lucille." Well, after he left us, I ordered more whiskey. I thought how she'd made him look small. From the lights of the bar room to the rented hotel room, we walked without talking at all. She was a beauty, but when she came to me, she must have thought I'd lost my mind. I couldn't hold her, 'cause the words that he told her kept coming back time after time. You picked a fine time to leave me, Lucille, with 4 hungry children and a crop in the field. I've had some sad times, lived through some bad times, but this time your hurtin' won't heal. You picked a fine time to leave me, Lucille. Pretty sad song, I'm gonna have to say, but that's not that's kind of a sad song. So let's see if we can't lighten her up again and try that same song over with a few different words. On a road in Toledo, across from the depot, I was cruising in my old Heap. It wasn't good looking, but I was sure booking, and anyway I got it dirt cheap. Me and my old lady were cruising about 80 when the car really started to roar. Round the curves we were turning and smelt something burning, but I shoved that old gas pedal down to the floor. In the mirror I saw something cruising down the highway. I thought how it looked out of place. It was my tire going like fire. I had a strange look on my face. I really don't know, but it looked like a donut. For a minute I thought I was dead. I started crying. I thought we were dying. I looked out the window and said, "You picked a fine time to leave me loose, wheel. With 4 old bald tires, you were such a good deal. I've had some clumpers, some really bad junkers, but you were just a great steal. You picked a fine time to leave me loose, wheel." After the collision, I made a decision. I thought how I'd live through it all. In the glow of the headlights, I checked out the damage. You really couldn't see much at all. I started thinking, I'm glad I'm not drinking, and these words came back time after time. You picked a fine time to leave me loose, wheel. With 4 old bald tires, you were such a good deal. I had some clunkers, some really bad junkers, but you were just a great steal. You picked a fine time to leave me loose, wheel. Alrighty then, hey, you know what? I think that's probably about it. We'll see real quick. Yep, that's got her done. Folks, this here is Shenandoah Briscoe saying hello and how are you? You know, God loves you and so do I. So be good, be kind, and I see you tomorrow, alright? In Jesus' name, have a good day. I'll be here. I hope you are too.